Have you ever wished you could read minds? Wondered what secrets you could unveil or truths you could uncover? We've all been there, captivated by the allure of knowing the unspoken, the concealed thoughts that dance behind the eyes of our fellow human beings. This allure isn't just confined to the realms of fantasy and fiction. No, it extends far into the practical world of everyday life. Imagine the advantage you'd have in a negotiation, or the understanding you could gain in a relationship, or the empathy you could foster with a friend in distress. Mind reading, or more accurately, the ability to interpret subtle cues in body language, tone and behavior, could open up a whole new world of understanding. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. This is no simple feat. It's an art, a science, a skill finely honed over time and with practice. And it all starts with 3 key techniques. These are the pillars upon which this skill is built, the foundation that allows us to begin to decipher the thoughts and feelings of those around us. The first technique is observation. This is where it all begins. It's about honing your senses, really seeing, hearing and feeling the world around you. It's about noticing the subtle shifts in body language, the slight changes in tone and the nuances in behavior that can reveal so much. The second technique is understanding. This is where you begin to make sense of what you've observed. It's about understanding human behavior, recognizing patterns and interpreting signals. It's about using your knowledge of psychology, sociology, and even biology to decode the messages being sent. And finally, the third technique is empathy. This is where you connect with the person you're trying to understand. It's about putting yourself in their shoes, feeling what they're feeling, and seeing the world from their perspective. It's about building a bridge of understanding that allows you to truly read their mind. But how does one begin to decipher the thoughts of another? Let's delve into a story that may shed some light. In a small village long ago, there lived 2 brothers. The elder was blind and mostly homebound, while the younger brother toiled in the fields. Their farm was often ravaged by animals, a problem that greatly troubled the younger brother. Yet, he stumbled upon a solution. Why not ask my blind brother to help scare the animals away, he thought. So he built a small hut in the field and asked the elder to sit in it, shouting at any sounds of approaching animals. The elder brother agreed, and this practice continued for many days. One day, a deer ran through their field, breaking the fence before fleeing. A king, in pursuit of the deer, arrived shortly after. Spotting the blind brother, he asked if he had seen the deer. The elder brother, in his calm voice, replied, "Your Majesty, I am blind. How can I see a deer? But I can tell you the animal that left my field is not worth your pursuit." Astonished, the king wondered how the blind man knew this. The blind brother explained, "Your Majesty, the animal you believe to be a deer is a pregnant doe. I have never heard of a king hunting a pregnant doe, so I am telling you, she is not worth your pursuit." The king was left in awe. How could a blind man discern the doe was pregnant? He decided to verify and sent his men to find the doe. They confirmed the elder brother was correct. The doe was indeed pregnant. The king marveled at the blind man's wisdom, his ability to perceive what was not immediately visible. This tale introduces the first technique of mind reading, careful listening and observation. Despite his blindness, the elder brother had a deep understanding of his surroundings, a keen sense of observation that went beyond sight. But how did he know about the deer? The king, intrigued by the blind man's insight, decided to investigate further. He approached the blind man, his curiosity piqued. "How could you possibly know the doe was pregnant?" he asked, his voice echoing with a mix of disbelief and admiration. The blind brother simply smiled, his face calm and serene. "Your Majesty, I cannot see," he began, "but I can hear and I can think. When the deer passed through the field, her movement was heavy, slow, unlike a regular deer's swift and light step. Furthermore, the sound of her breath was strained and labored, a sign of exertion that's unusual and less burdened. Based on these observations, I deduced she must be pregnant." Here, we arrive at the second technique to mind reading. Making educated deductions based on available information. It's about piecing together the puzzle of someone's thoughts and emotions using the clues they provide, consciously or not. It's about listening, not just with your ears, but with your mind and intuition to what is being communicated beyond the surface. The king, listening to the blind brother's explanation, was left speechless. He realized that the blind man's mind reading was not a magical ability, but a skill honed through careful observation and thoughtful deduction. The blind brother, in his world of darkness, had developed an acute sense of hearing and an extraordinary capacity for analysis. He was not just hearing, he was listening, truly listening, to the world around him. The king understood then that the blind brother was not reading minds in the literal sense, but was instead tapping into something deeper, something often overlooked in the hustle and bustle of daily life. He was tapping into the power of observation, the power of deduction, the power of truly listening, and the power of understanding. The blind brother's accurate prediction left the king in awe. But what was the blind brother's secret? Well, that's a tale for another time. The king, in his bewilderment, asked the blind man the source of his wisdom. "How could you know the deer was pregnant despite your blindness?" The blind brother, with a knowing smile, replied, "Your Majesty, I may not see with my eyes, but I hear, I touch, I smell, and I perceive. The deer's heavy breathing, her hesitant steps, the sweet scent of maternal care. These are the signs that told me she was with child." This is the secret the blind brother had mastered. He had honed his other senses to such an extent that he could see things others missed. He used every bit of information he could gather to make accurate deductions, a fundamental technique to mind reading. Just as the blind brother used his senses to see, so too can we learn to read others. By paying attention to subtle cues in body language, voice tone, and behavior, we can discern what lies beneath the surface. The blind brother had mastered the art of seeing without sight, reading minds through careful observation, deduction, and use of all his senses. In our quest to read minds, we've uncovered some fascinating techniques. The tale of the brothers and the king has guided us through three crucial methods to discern the thoughts and intentions of those around us. We've learned the power of careful observation, the insight of educated deductions, and the importance of utilizing all our senses, even in the absence of sight. These techniques, though seemingly simple, can reveal a wealth of information about the people we interact with on a daily basis. From understanding their emotions to predicting their actions, these methods can greatly enhance our interpersonal relations. They can help us navigate social situations, resolve conflicts, and even build stronger connections with others. While we may not be able to literally read minds, these techniques can surely help us understand people better. It's not about intruding into others' thoughts, but rather about comprehending their perspectives. So are you ready to start reading minds?